Supernatural Season 10, Episode 18, Book of the Damned. This was without a doubt one of my favorite episodes this entire season, and it was just great. Like, the whole thing was really awesome because this is definitely my favorite episode that Charlie's been in. I think she was the most badass we've ever seen her, and she's been really cool in some other stuff, like when they had the Jinn and she was in sort of the crazy zombie dream over and over again. She was cool. She's always cool in the episodes that she's in. She figures stuff out. But we actually saw her like fight in this episode. Like, she had a cool little sword and stuff. She had a little ninja thing going at the opening of the episode. But she actually like killed a guy in this episode, and she did not bat an eye with that. And I think that kind of stems from the last time we got to see her, which was the kind of split personality thing when she was good and bad. And that was probably my second favorite because we got to see like bad Charlie and her with all the smarts and skills, but evil. So I thought that was really cool too, even though she was technically the villain. But in this one, it was definitely great, and I think it's probably the best. It's a weird middle ground episode because it's like half of it was sort of a filler when you think about it, but at the same time, it wasn't, because even though they didn't really get to do anything with the book, it did go right into, us meeting one of the other main characters, and we got to see Rowena at the end. And then the other half was like totally main storyline with Cas and what he's going to be doing in the future, and the craziness that came out of his storyline, which I didn't expect either. But there was a ton of great stuff in this episode. It had really good action. The cool cabin fight was pretty sweet. I initially thought this episode was just going to be like a cool Evil Dead reference, or at least some of it would be, because of the whole Book of the Damned thing, and the Book of the Dead is what it's called in Evil Dead. And they are in the cabin, so like it could have been like the closest they could get to a reference without being super obvious about it. But it was just an awesome episode. Like, we got to meet the Stein family, and I love them. I thought they were actually really cool when they came in. And, at first it's like, alright, I like these characters because for whatever stupid reason, they're so cool. They walk around using revolvers like they're cowboys or something. And I just thought that looked cool, like, aesthetically. I love, when people go around using, like, old revolvers and stuff. It just looks really cool to me. So I thought that was pretty sweet. And then we're introduced to the fact that these aren't just a couple random guys. This is an entire family who, they've been around for generations, and they're definitely evil. So they're going to be main villains. If not next season, they'll at least be minor villains, and maybe, if we go to a season 12, they'll end up being the main villains then, because we still have the Book of the Damned by the end of this episode. So I love them. I love their introduction, them walking through bullets, especially the guy who's like the main antagonist in this one. And that was like the only thing that sucked to me, was that he actually died in this episode. And who knows, maybe he didn't. I'm pretty sure he did though, because he got shot several times and he wussed out, but at the same time, he wasn't shot nearly as much as the first guy Dean shot up like crazy. And, stabbed in the stomach, it kind of doesn't equate to like 3 or 4 extra bullets. So if he does end up surviving, I actually think that would be kind of awesome, because he'd be, he was like the leader in this episode, and he'd be sort of our lead-in. Whenever they're introduced, he'd be the one kind of calling the shots, and he'd be the one that we know as viewers, we get to see him as the recurring character, and he would become familiar with everyone that's on the show. So hopefully he did actually end up surviving, and they bring him back, like, you should have stayed there and took care of me, or something like that. But I love this character, especially when they actually had him come into the cabin, and he walks in, and Dean just starts shooting him, and he gets shot twice, and he just looks at him, and he's just walking like Terminator or something, like, I don't care about this, I'm being shot. So it just looked really cool, and he's going through, and like I said, it was a cool fight scene, and Charlie, like, she cut the guy in the stomach and then stabbed him and killed that guy. And of course Sam decides in this episode he's going to keep the book because he wants to get rid of this mark, despite basically this book being like the most evil, magic based book on the planet. He wants to help Dean. He wants to get this mark off of him, and he doesn't care about the risks, which, I mean, that's no shock. It's Supernatural. They do whatever they have to do to save each other. So it's like, gates of hell could be closed. Nah, I'm gonna save my brother. Biblical, tsunamis and all this extra crap coming in. Nah, I'm gonna get this mark off of him. So, really no surprise there. But of course, the big shock was the ending with Rowena coming in and Sam saying like, I know this is in your wheelhouse. This is, the spell book, and you are, the spellcaster on Earth. So I don't know what's gonna come out of that. I'm definitely excited for it. It was an amazing storyline with all of them. It was just a bunch of craziness. The music was also great too. Thin Lizzy in the beginning, I love that song. The one that played at the end, I don't know the name of that song, but I do like hearing it, and I thought it was the perfect song to play at the end of this episode, and them doing the flashbacks, and they're in like this really happy moment, and that's what made it so great. It was the music contrast with everything we were seeing, because it's like, Dean's happy. It's like, I know we had to burn the book, but we'll figure something out. Charlie kind of feels the same way, like, we'll figure this crap out, and it's like they're both happy that Cass is fine. Charlie's happy that she even met Cass. So it's like everyone's kind of having this silly moment. We even got to see Cass take his trench coat off. I keep forgetting he has a whole freaking suit on, which doesn't make any sense. But every time I see him, all I think of is the trench coat, and then it's just a shirt as far as I'm concerned. It's like a shirt, a tie, and a trench coat. And then he takes it off. I'm like, he has pants. He wears pants, and it just doesn't. It's not in my head. But it was such a great moment, like contrasting the music with what we were seeing, and like Dean was laughing really loud, and they were playing like the little card game. I forgot what you call it with the folded paper, but like Charlie's messing around with Cass, playing that with him, and Dean's laughing it up, and everyone's just kind of celebrating, eating pizza and drinking beer, having snacks, and Sam knows what he did, and it's like he switched the books out, and it was kind of funny because the other guy saw it, which would be another great reason to have it where he does survive, because I thought he just called him a silly boy because he was like, he burned the book, and it's like, you kind of pissed me off, but I'm so cool about it, I'm just going to call you silly. And it was actually that he saw him take this other book and burn it. So if he lived, it would be even cooler, because he would be the enemy that could come in and be like, oh, your brother didn't tell you, has he told you yet that he didn't actually burn the book? And then obviously all the issues that would come with that. But it was great. It was really fun. And then Rowena at the end, I was like, it's one of those two. I knew it had to be one of them. It's either going to be, Crowley or Rowena. And, with it being Rowena, it's really awesome. Incredibly dangerous, though. Like, who knows what she's going to, pull out. And it was kind of funny seeing her in this episode. For anyone who hasn't seen any of my other videos on my channel recently, she was just at the Midwest Media Expo in Detroit, and it was her first convention ever. So I met her in person, and she's like super, super nice. And then it's like I saw that this is like the first episode I saw after going to the convention, and it's like, it's so weird seeing her on the show now, because I got to meet her in person. She's like really soft spoken, and she was super nice to everybody. And then now I see her on the show, and it's like, that's really weird. She's such a different character. She's a character and not, Ruth Connell. So it was kind of funny, even though it was just the last little scene and she only had like a tiny little line. It was still funny. It was like the smallest thing. I was just like, it's weird seeing that now. Like, I met her in person, and she's the only person I've actually met from Supernatural. So it was just kind of funny, especially with her being a villain. It's the complete opposite when you meet her in person. Like, if it was, Jared or Jensen, it would be like, it's different because it's not Sam and Dean, but they're still nice, good guys. And then you meet someone who plays a villain. It's just like, if I met Mark Shepard, it would be like, it's so weird. Like, you can't be nice, and then you're the guy who 6 hellhounds on people. It would just be funny. So I feel like that's going to be in my head every time I see her as Rowena now. But it was definitely awesome. A great reveal. The other side of the storyline with Cas and Metatron, complete 180 from what I was thinking was going to happen with them too. And it was great. Like, the one thing that did happen that I think a lot of us expected, fortunately, Cas did actually get his grace back, because for a second there it seemed like that actually wasn't happening at all and he was just going to be kind of screwed. But, he got his grace back. He got a really awesome scene. We got to see the broken wings again, which was really cool. He's 100%. We even got to see him after he got his grace back. We even got to see him heal somebody when he healed Charlie. So it was like, this is everything with Cas. It's him, basically his human side of it. When Metatron was talking to him about, actually tasting food, having emotions, and realizing what things are good and what things are bad, we got to see him as like full-on Cas with the angel wings. We got to see him actually heal someone, and then at the end we got to see him even without his jacket on. So we got to see like every version of Cas in this episode, and it was really awesome. Like, it was a great episode with him and Metatron. Obviously, Metatron escaping totally caught me off guard. I did not expect that. I didn't think he was leading him to where the tablet was, and once that happened, I was like, oh, the Grace was never here to begin with. But I guess that wouldn't make sense because Cass did mention he felt his Grace, but I wasn't thinking. I was thinking Metatron freaking pulled one over on him, writing on these books all the way down, which was really smart, and that was actually kind of cool. I still hate him because it's Metatron, but it was really cool. Now he has the demon tablet, and whatever he's gonna do with that, I don't know. I mean, they could do some stuff where he tries to backtrack and kind of close the gates of hell and stuff like that, but I feel like he's gonna try to go a different avenue. I mean, the secret's out. That was the only reason he was able to do that anyways, because he kind of had everyone tricked, like, oh, he's the good guy, and he's, trying to do this. So, I don't know what he's going to do with the demon tablet. Who knows? I mean, he's human now, so there's not much he can do, which has me very excited because he has the demon tablet, but he's still got a lot of issues going on with the whole being human thing. He can't exactly just, get shot and then, boom, I'm healed. He has to worry about death. He has to watch out and be careful when people are attacking him, following him, whatever. So he has this tablet. He may or may not, depending on how he feels about demons, he could end up going to Crowley. Because honestly, those two, I've never really thought about it until this episode, but those two are so similar. I don't know why it just dawned on me. It should have been really obvious that they're, Metatron's just manipulative as an angel, just like Crowley is as a demon, although he's changed. And even Sam mentioned that, which I thought was really awesome, when he and Dean were having the little conversation about Rowena being his mother, and how she mentioned that he got soft and stuff, and Sam was just like, yeah, he has. And it was like, yeah, well. And then they just move on in that. So I thought that was a cool little moment too. But definitely loved this episode. I thought there was not a single downside to it. I'm incredibly excited for the next episode. In the preview, Sam's talking about he's going to kill Crowley for Rowena so she can take over. Rowena says she's going to, I'm assuming she said she's going to, cure Dean once she figures everything out with the book, which I don't believe because she's the villain and she's not soft like Crowley. So she's like where Crowley used to be and she just wants to do what she wants to do. So I don't know what to expect, but this was an amazing episode. I definitely loved it. It's one of my favorites. It's probably my favorite this season. This, and I guess maybe episode 3 when Dean was really going crazy and they actually cured him and stuff. But definitely a great episode. The best one in quite a while, actually. I mean, I've loved the past couple episodes, but something about like the introduction of another family, which actually was cool. It wasn't just like here's a random other group. It was like we got to learn their history. We got to see them in action on 2 separate occasions, and they already have certain spellbound items. They had like the magical compass that could follow the book, although they couldn't find the book when it was buried, so there's got to be something going on with that. But overall, I love this episode. Of course, I want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And my biggest question, I think, would definitely have to be, what do you guys think about the villain element of this episode? Because we had 3 huge components. Obviously, we had Metatron. He has a demon tablet now. He's off on his own. He's human. Obviously, the surprise appearance of Rowena at the end making a deal with Sam and what she's going to end up doing with the book as far as, helping Dean. Because I feel like her main thing is like, I'm just going to get this Margaret off. And then here comes spell number 2 to, try to kill him. And then, of course, we have the whole, this whole new family, the Stein family, who's been around for generations. They're super rich, apparently. They use revolvers like Old West people. I don't know why. And they're, like, all basically have, like, a enhanced strength spell all over them or something. I don't know what they're going to end up calling it. But they can just take, like, 15 shots before they actually drop dead. So, we have 3 big components for the villains in this episode, and I loved all of them. Great twists, great new enemies, and I love the scene where Charlie called the guy Gambit because of the way he spoke. So it took me like 1 second. I was like, why'd she say that? And then I just laughed. I was like, oh, because his accent. But I want to know what you guys thought about the sort of villain aspect of this episode. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.